Today we're going to uncover one of the most surprising and, let's be honest, bizarre chapters in all of military history. We're talking about the long and often secret story of how animals have been used in human conflict.
Right. When I say animals in war, your mind probably jumps straight to cavalry charges or maybe canine units. And you're not wrong, but that is barely scratching the surface. The reality is so much stranger, way more creative, and sometimes much, much darker than you could ever imagine. We are talking about a history that includes everything from pyromaniac monkeys to missile-guiding pigeons. So first up, let's look at how animals have been used, not as soldiers, but as instruments of pure chaos, literally designed to just shatter enemy morale and create total panic.
What's incredible is just how ancient this idea really is. I mean, picture this. It's 279 BC, the siege of Jimmo in ancient China. A defending commander comes up with this wild plan. He unleashes 1,000 oxen, disguised to look like dragons, and sends them stampeding into the enemy camp in the dead of night. Can you imagine the shock? It was absolutely devastating. A true masterclass in psychological warfare from over 2,000 years ago.
And you know, this whole principle of using animals for sabotage, it wasn't just some one-off idea. It's proven to be an incredibly persistent strategy. Let's take a look at how this one concept evolved right across the centuries, adapting to the technology of the time.
And this slide just shows you exactly what I mean. On the one hand, you've got this ancient example from 4th century BC India, where they described macaques being trained to carry firebombs over fortifications to start fires. Now jump forward to World War II. British Special Forces had this plan to leave dummy rats packed with explosives in German factories. The idea was a worker would see the rat, get rid of it by tossing it into a furnace, and boom, a massive explosion. The core strategy is identical. Use a seemingly harmless animal to get past defenses and cause total destruction.
Of course, not every plan was a stroke of genius. During World War I, somebody had the bright idea to station parrots on top of the Eiffel Tower as an early warning system against air raids. The mission was simple enough, right? Hear a plane, make a lot of noise. The problem? Well, the parrots were a little too good at their job. They squawked at any plane they heard, whether it was a friend or a foe. Yeah, that project was abandoned pretty quickly.
All right, so from chaos and sabotage, we're going to shift gears now to a much darker and frankly more disturbing role that animals have played in conflict, as living, unwilling weapons.
Yeah, this is where the story takes its most somber turn. This is where the animal itself becomes the munition, a living delivery system for a deadly payload.
One of the most infamous examples has got to be the American Project X-ray during World War II. So the plan was to drop thousands of bats, each one carrying a tiny little incendiary bomb, over Japanese cities. The idea was the bats would roost in all the wooden buildings, and then, boom. But the project never even got that far. During a test run, some of the armed bats actually escaped and promptly burned down their own base, including an aircraft hangar and a general's car. Yeah, the project was scrapped.
But here's the terrifying thing. While the bat bomb was a complete fiasco, other, far more sinister plans actually succeeded. During the Second World War, Japan's infamous Unit 731 weaponized insects. They would drop plague-infested fleas and cholera-coated flies from airplanes onto Chinese cities, deliberately unleashing epidemics. The result of this tactic was just devastating. This number, 440,000, that's the estimated number of Chinese civilians who died from these biological attacks. It's a horrifyingly effective use of the smallest of creatures as essentially weapons of mass destruction.
Okay, let's shift gears again and jump into the modern era. This is where technology and animal intelligence have combined to create these highly specialized operatives for some really complex missions.
These days, the U.S. Navy's Marine Mammal Program has assigned these animals roles that sound like they're straight out of a spy movie. Dolphins, with their incredible sonar, are perfect for finding underwater mines. They can even be trained to sneak up on enemy divers and attach buoys to their air tanks. Meanwhile, sea lions are trained to attach tracking cuffs to swimmers and to help recover valuable military hardware from the bottom of the ocean.
And if you thought dolphins with buoys was wild, get ready for this. It really doesn't get much more high-tech or more bizarre than Project Orkin. So this was developed by the famous psychologist B.F. Skinner. The idea was to place a trained pigeon inside the nose cone of a missile. The pigeon would see the target ship on a little screen and peck at it. Those pecks would then control the missile's fins, guiding it right to its target.
I know, it sounds completely nuts, right?
But you have to understand, the military took this incredibly seriously. Tests actually showed surprising accuracy. Even after it was shelved, it was, and I quote, resurrected from 1948 to 1953 for a second last-ditch effort. It was only finally canceled because electronic guidance systems eventually caught up.
But, it's not all about destruction. Let's end this section on a really positive note. These same unique animal abilities can be used for amazing humanitarian missions. A Belgian NGO has brilliantly trained giant pouched rats to use their incredible sense of smell to detect landmines. They're too light to set them off, and they work way faster than humans can. So in this role, these little animal operatives are saving countless lives.
So, as we look back on this strange and secret history, from dragon oxen all the way to mine-sniffing rats, it really leaves you with a question, doesn't it? Is this a story about human ingenuity, about adapting the natural world to our conflicts in ever more creative ways? Or is it a story of desperation, of a species that's willing to try absolutely anything to get an edge? What this history truly reveals about us, well, that's something worth thinking about.